Hi guys, today I wanted to talk to you guys about some of my favorite books for toddlers and also book basket because I think it's a perfect way to feature certain books and also it gives you the ability to rotate books. But a book basket, which is something I have here, this is a really pretty big book basket, but this book basket lives in our living room and my daughter usually will go through it pretty much every day. So I have two book baskets. I have usually one in my living room and one in her playroom. Really, a lot of these books that I'm going to show you today, most of the books I'm going to show you today, she's been reading since she was a newborn. I've been reading to her since she was a baby. And but she really started to enjoy these specific books I'm going to show you today, like around 1. So my favorite type of books are books that actually show real pictures of, for example, an animal, not like a, cartoonish looking, like, for example, elephant. I prefer books that actually have like a real elephant or a real cow because I think it's easier for them to be able to identify those animals and items when they see them. So, for example, we have books. This is my favorite brand of books for kids that are younger than 2. And it's by a company named Pretty Books. It's Priddy Books. And the reason I like them so much, again, is because they have actual real pictures. So, for example, real pictures of, red shoes, some jeans, a baby with brown hair. So these books are great because they actually show real pictures. So there's that one. And then there is also the same company makes bigger versions, bigger books with bigger pictures, which is great. So for example, this one is The First 100 Animals. And this was one of my daughter's favorite books when she was younger. She's pretty much knows this book inside and out now. But this book was a popular one in our house. And the way that I would read to her, in her, when she was around 1, is I would go, for example, with this book, I would go through the different animals. I would say, this is a cat. This is a rabbit. This is a puppy. And then once I would go through all the different animals, I would ask her, can you show me the cat? Can you show me where the puppy is? Obviously, in the beginning, she wouldn't get it right every time. But as we went through this book more and more, she started to point out the correct animal based on what I was asking her. So that was the second part of our reading. And the last thing I would do is I would usually ask her, can you tell me what animal this is? Or can you tell me what animal this is? And she would say a puppy or a doggy, So that's usually how I would read to her. And I usually learned with these types of books where it's just like pictures, basically. And I learned that from a friend who is a teacher, a preschool teacher. And it worked for her, so I thought I'd give it a try with my daughter. And I got to tell you guys, it really worked. My daughter she has a very good vocabulary. She knows a lot of animals and a lot of different things. She can tell you what they are. She can point them out. So books like this, I think, really helped her. And also the way in which we went through the book was really beneficial for her. And then the other types of books that I like are by the same company, but they're a little bit more interactive. So what I like about this specific type of book is you could actually feel what the animal feels like. So for example, this is a little dog and it does have a story attached to the picture. And then you can feel what the dog would feel like, his fur or his hair, and his nose. You could feel what his nose would feel like. And then again, the story. You could even feel what a wicker basket would feel like. Again, there's a story. So these books are great. She loves these books because they're more interactive. So she feels like she's part of the reading process. She's not just sitting there listening to me read. And another thing I like about these types of books is that the letters that you see here, they have a texture to them. I don't know what this texture is, but it doesn't feel like the rest of the book. So what I like to do with my daughter is she will use her finger and go over each letter and we will spell out the word. So we would say, this is L, this is O, this is V, this is E. And that's one of her favorite things to do. And a lot of the pages are like that. I have 3 of them. Like I said, this one's Puppy Love, Quack Quack, and Zoo Zoos Who. And there's this is a great one. This is one of our favorites because the pictures are really big. It's a big elephant and it looks like a real elephant, and then she could feel what the elephant feels like. She can run her fingers over the letters and we can, we can go through it together. Here is a leopard, a zebra. You can feel what the zebra feels like. These books really helped her out with learning what the animals look like and basically what they're called. So there's that. And then I have this book that I really like, that she absolutely loved and has already destroyed because she's played with this book so many times. But I got this book at a thrift store. Again, it was 99 cents and it was in better condition when I bought it, but she's played with it so many times and she's read it so many times that it's pretty much on its last legs. But what I love about this book, it's very different. Same company, Pretty Books. Basically, this book is a little different. So you could feel what the animal feels like. There is a story attached to it. And then also, for example, these ducks, you can actually push the button of the picture of the duck and it'll play what a duck actually sounds like. Here is a sheep. She could feel what the sheep feels like. I can read her the story and then she can press the button and she'll know what a sheep feels like or sounds like. As they get older or even when they're younger, sometimes they like to hear the noises, and this helped her recognize what certain animals sound like. I love this book. And I have a variety of this brand of books. Here's the first 100 words and, different types of cars, and they're real cars, pictures of real cars. And this is something that actually has helped her when we're driving around or we're at the park and she sees, for example, a big truck or she'll see a motorcycle. She usually will call out, "There goes a motorcycle." She'll say, "Motorcycle, motorcycle." So she recognizes them, and that's one of the reasons I really like books like this. And now that she's gotten a little older, she's starting to now enjoy to read books with more of a story base. So for example, ABC, I Love You. She really likes this book. This is one of her favorites. And there's another book called Frida, which is a great book. Now, when it comes to these types of books, or pretty much any books, and the way I read to her, other than the way I showed you guys earlier, is I usually tend to pick a time that I know that I'm not going to feel rushed when I'm reading to her. And the reason I do that is because a lot of times, we're tired. We don't feel like reading to our kids sometimes. I mean, I'm guilty of that, guys. Like, we read about 6 times a day. I would say 3 books at night and then 3 books throughout the day. Sometimes even more. And sometimes I'm not really in the mood to read. But I always try to pick a time to read to her when I'm not tired and I'm not going to be feeling rushed. And the reason is because it's really important when you're reading to your child to really let them enjoy the story and the book instead of having them feel rushed. Talk about what they're seeing in the book. Ask them questions. Get them involved and talking about what they're reading. She loves to read. She could probably read more than 6 books a day if I let her. And sometimes I do, but obviously I don't have all kinds of time all day to read books all day, but she does sit down sometimes and just read on her own, or attempts to read on her own, and she remembers different words that I've read to her in the past, so she will, when she's reading by herself, she'll point things out. Another thing I do is I try to pay attention to what my daughter is interested in at the moment. So if I start to notice that she really is interested in cars, or she's really interested in specific type of farm animals, I will, go to the library, pick out books that talk about those things, and then put them in her book basket. You don't always have to spend a lot of money on books. You could just easily go to the library and rent books. You could even, another thing that I've done for my daughter is we will rotate books with her friends, because sometimes she's read, a lot of these books, for example, and her friends in the neighborhood have not. So we'll borrow books. And that's a great way to not spend a lot of money and have new books all the time that your kids can read. Oh, and one last one is just, again, I got this one at the Goodwill, so it's kind of gotten destroyed because my daughter's used it so many times. But, you know, this is a book by Crayola. It actually has real pictures of things, chocolate, a pine cone. And actually, this is where she learned what a pine cone was, because she does have a ton of pine cones that she actually paints. So when I read this book to her, I remember I showed her what a pine cone was, and then I went outside. I picked pine cones with her from our tree, and she was able to say, oh, this is a pine cone, and here's the actual pine cone. So, and then again, like carrots, I tell her this is a carrot, and then I go to my fridge and pick out a carrot. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you guys for watching. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. You guys have a great day. Bye.